The second I saw her hand him the glass, I knew it was over. Not a handshake, not a polite nod. A glass. Our champagne. Meant for us. She handed it to him, giggling like a damn teenager, smiling up at him like he put the stars in the sky. And just like that, the marriage, the party, my whole damn life went up in smoke. I'm Daniel Walker, 40 years old. I move freight for a living at a shipping yard outside Tulsa. I live in an old ranch-style house my dad built with his bare hands. I drive a '98 Chevy with more rust than paint. I wear steel-toed boots every day and jeans so worn the knees are shiny. I married Laura 5 years ago. I thought I was marrying a woman who wanted a life. Real, dirty-knuckled, Sunday morning kind of love. Turns out I was just another accessory to her shiny, picture-perfect life. 3 months ago, I started planning her birthday party. Not just any party, the kind you see in movies. A rooftop in downtown Tulsa. White string lights. 5-star catering. A jazz trio in the corner playing the kind of blues that wraps around your ribs. $7,600 before the first guest even RSVP'd. I sold my granddad's Winchester 1894 rifle. I pawned the watch my mom gave me for high school graduation. I skipped meals. Took double shifts. Also, I could buy her a night she'd remember. And a bracelet. White gold, 3 deep green emeralds, wrapped tight like a promise I was still trying to keep even when I shouldn't have been. The night of the party, I showed up an hour early, hauling bags and flowers and folding chairs up 2 flights of stairs because the elevator was broken. My hands were cut up before the first guest even arrived. But I didn't care. I just kept thinking, she's gonna love this. She's gonna see how much I love her. Man, if I could punch that version of me in the face now, I would. Guests started arriving around 6 o'clock. Friends, co-workers, neighbors. Even her high school best friend who once called me emotionally constipated during Christmas dinner. I stood by the rented bar, straightening my tie, trying to play it cool. Dean, my buddy from the yard, clapped me on the back. "Hell of a party, brother," he said, sipping his whiskey. "She's lucky to have you." I smiled, took a drink, looked at my watch. 6:45. No Laura. 7:10. Still no Laura. By 7:30, the caterer was giving me side eyes and the band was doing awkward cover songs to fill the dead air. Finally, at 7:42 p.m., she arrived. She stepped out of the stairwell like she was walking onto a red carpet. New red heels. Tight black dress I'd never seen before. Hair up in some kind of messy bun that looked like it cost $200. Perfume strong enough to choke a horse. She didn't even look at me, just tossed her purse into my hands as she walked by. "Hold this," she said, flashing a smile over her shoulder. "Don't lose it." I stood there, clutching her tiny glittery purse like a damn chump. A few guests chuckled under their breath. One of her co-workers, a brunette named Shelby who always looked at me like she was doing me a favor by saying hello, gave me this look. Pity, mixed with disgust. I wanted to throw the purse off the damn roof. Instead, I tucked it under the bar and smiled like everything was fine. Laura floated through the crowd, soaking up attention like a plant under a heat lamp. She touched shoulders, whispered in ears, laughed too hard at jokes that weren't funny, especially his jokes. Lucas Reed. I didn't know his name yet, but I knew his type. Tall, tan, teeth too perfect to be real. Designer shoes, Rolex watch, that rich boy haircut that costs $150 every 2 weeks to maintain. She laughed at everything he said, touched his arm, leaned in just a little too close. I stayed by the bar, watching, drinking, pretending not to notice. Dean slid up next to me. "You good, brother?" he asked low. I swallowed half my drink in one go. "Fine," I lied. At 8:30, the band quieted. Laura clinked her wine glass with a fork, stepping into the center of the rooftop like she was born on a stage. "Everyone," she called out, voice bright and sugary. "Can I have your attention for just a second?" People turned. Someone dimmed the overhead lights. The city skyline glowed behind her like a backdrop. It was beautiful. It was hell. She beamed at the crowd. "This past year has been a journey," she said. "Lots of challenges. Lots of changes." I stood straighter, ready for it, ready to hear my name, ready to be the husband she loved in public. She smiled wider. "But through it all," she said, "there's been one man who truly stood by me. One man who reminded me who I really am." My chest puffed out, heartbeat hammering. "Lucas Reed," she said. Dead silence. I blinked, swallowed hard. Maybe I misheard. Maybe she meant something else. But no. She turned to Lucas, lifted her glass, and said, "To Lucas, for being my anchor when everything else fell apart. The whole rooftop raised their glasses. A few clapped. A few chuckled nervously. Someone behind me said, "Damn." I stood there like a deer in headlights. Then she turned to me. "And Danny," she said, sweet as poison, "I didn't forget about you." She pulled a silver gift bag out from behind the cake table, waved it like she was hosting a raffle. I walked up, slow, legs stiff, every step louder in my ears than the band had been. I took the bag. Inside, a black T-shirt. I unfolded it. Unattached. The crowd shifted, whispers rising. Dean swore under his breath. Shelby giggled and clapped like it was the best joke she ever heard. Laura laughed. Laughed so hard she had to wipe a tear from her fake eyelashed eye. Lucas patted her lower back, a spot no man should be touching unless he paid for the ring, and she didn't flinch. She leaned into him like they had history written all over them. Maybe they did. I stood there, holding the T-shirt like it was radioactive. And in that moment, two things hit me at once. This woman was gone. She wanted me to break. She wanted a scene. Wanted me to shout, cry, beg, make it messy so she could play the victim. Instead, I folded the shirt carefully, walked to the cake table, the one I spent 2 weeks paying off, pulled the Cartier bracelet box from my jacket, set it down, square center, plain as day. No speech, no scream, no begging, just finality. I turned and walked, right past Lucas, right past Laura, down the stairs 2 at a time, out into the cold Oklahoma night. I got 3 blocks before I stopped, stood under a busted street lamp, breath fogging up the air, hands shaking so bad I almost dropped my truck keys. My chest felt hollow. My brain felt burned out. But one thing cut through the noise. The bracelet. The one I bought. The one that mattered. Not for her. For me. Because I kept my promises even when no one else did. I turned around. Walked back. Stormed up the stairs. Right through the stun party. Nobody stopped me. Nobody dared. I grabbed the black Cartier box. Shoved it deep in my pocket. Turned. Laura saw me. Opened her mouth to say something. I didn't wait to hear it. I left. Again. This time forever. My truck waited 3 blocks down. I climbed in. Threw the T-shirt onto the passenger seat. The cheap gift bag followed. Slammed the door hard enough to shake the mirrors. The bracelet sat heavy in my jacket. My phone buzzed and buzzed, 20 missed calls, 30, 40, her name flashing again and again. I turned the phone off. Started the truck. The engine roared like it was angry for me. I pulled onto the highway. Didn't even check the rearview mirror. That night, Laura showed the world exactly who she was. And I showed her that the man she thought would always be waiting was already gone. The thing about driving away from everything you ever built is, it doesn't feel real at first. It feels like you just stepped out for a smoke. Like you'll turn the truck around in 10 minutes. Walk back up those stairs. Fix it somehow. But you don't. Because deep down, you know there's nothing left to fix. I drove. No destination. No plan. Just the whine of the tires on blacktop and the hum of a battered old V8 engine that, for once, sounded more alive than I felt. Pulled into a 24-hour diner off Route 75 around midnight. Parked in the corner where the lot lights didn't reach. Turned off the truck. Sat there. Didn't cry. Didn't punch the steering wheel. Didn't scream. Just sat. Dead quiet. My phone was still off, tossed on the floorboard where it belonged. The bracelet sat on the passenger seat. Box open. White gold catching what little light leaked through the windows. I closed it gently. Set it in the glove box. Not for her. Never again for her. For me. A reminder. I must have dozed off at some point, 'cause the next thing I knew, the sky was turning gray and a knock rattled the window. I jerked awake, heart hammering. Dean. Standing outside the truck, hands shoved deep in his jacket pockets, eyes tired. I cracked the window. "Been looking for you all night, brother," he said. "Found me," I muttered. He nodded. Silent a second. Then, "You need coffee or a punch in the face first?" I managed a grunt that could have been a laugh. He climbed into the passenger seat. We sat there. 2 busted-up men in a busted-up truck in a busted-up world. Dean handed me a gas station coffee. It tasted like burnt rubber and bad decisions, but it was hot. I drank. "You know she was showing off with him all night, right?" Dean said after a while. "Lucas. Parading him around like a prize bull at the county fair." "Saw," I said. "Wasn't subtle," he added. Another long silence. Then he said, "Heard some things too." I froze. Dean didn't look at me when he said it. "Couple people stayed after you left. Staff mostly. Said Laura and Lucas didn't just leave together." I stared at him. "What are you saying?" He rubbed a hand over his face. "Said she took him home. You're home." The words hit harder than anything that happened on that rooftop. They saw them, Dean said, voice low, like he hated even repeating it. Going inside. Laughing. Her hanging all over him. I felt like the air had been sucked clean out of the cab. When? I asked, my voice rough. Late. Around 2, maybe 3. He swallowed hard. Said Lucas's car was still there when the sun came up. I clenched the steering wheel so tight the leather cracked under my fingers. Every muscle in my body screamed to move, to drive straight home, bust down that door, tear the house apart. But I didn't. Somewhere deeper, past the anger, past the heartbreak, I knew. It was too late for anger. It was too late for anything. She brought him into my house. Slept in my bed. The one we picked out together. The one I'd built a headboard for with reclaimed barnwood from my uncle's farm. The one where she used to kiss me goodnight with that little sigh she made only when she was truly happy. I couldn't breathe. Dean sat there, giving me space. I'm sorry, brother, he said finally. I shook my head. Not at him. At everything. At myself. We sat like that for a long time. Drinking bad coffee. Listening to trucks roll past on the highway. The sky bleeding into pinks and grays. Finally, Dean said, what do you want to do? I thought about it. Really thought. I wanted to torch the whole damn house. Wanted to rip that memory off my skin like a bad tattoo. But more than anything, I wanted to disappear. Not just from her. From the version of myself that let her make me this small. I'm done, I said, voice steady. Dean nodded once. You need a place? He asked. You serious? I got a couch and a bottle of bourbon with your name on it, he said. I'll take it, I said. Then let's go, he said, clapping the dash. We drove to Dean's trailer just outside Broken Arrow. Not much to look at. Tin walls, faded siding, couch that smelled like old beer, but it was safe. It was mine for now. I collapsed on the couch, boots and all. Dean handed me a shot of something strong enough to burn the hair out of my nose. Sleep, he said. We'll figure it out tomorrow. I slept like the dead. First real sleep I'd had in months. The next morning, I woke to the smell of burnt bacon and stale coffee. Dean stood over the stove, poking at a pan with a bent spatula. You're alive, he said, grinning. Barely. He tossed a plate at me. Bacon, toast, something that used to be eggs. I ate it all. Didn't realize how empty I was. My phone buzzed. I ignored it. Buzzed again. Dean checked the screen. Still her, he said. Turn it off, I said. He did. After breakfast, we sat on the porch, watching the sun bake the red dirt. Dean lit a cigarette. Offered me one. I took it, even though I quit 2 years ago. Today was different. Today needed fire. You sure about disappearing? Dean asked. Positive, I said. Then you're gonna need to do it right. He pulled out a yellow legal pad. Started writing. Over the next 2 hours, we made a list. Cancel joint bank accounts. Remove my name from utilities. Forward mail to Dean's place. Lawyer up. Quietly, cleanly, cut her out. No warnings. No goodbye speeches. No notes. She wanted a man she could humiliate. She wanted a boy who'd beg her for scraps. She was about to find out what it felt like when the ground disappeared under her feet instead. While Dean made calls, I took my truck into town. Paid cash for a P.O. box. Paid cash to store my tools in a rental unit. Picked up a prepaid phone at Walmart. Burner life. Simple. Clean. Free. At noon, my lawyer called back. Old friend of my uncle's. Hard-nosed. No mercy. You sure about this? He asked after I explained. I'm sure, I said. Then we file Monday, he said. And by the time she even realizes what's happening, you'll be 3 steps ahead. Exactly how I wanted it. I spent the rest of the day packing a bag. Jeans. T-shirts. Work boots. No wedding photos. No keepsakes. Nothing from the life we built together. She could rot in it. By sundown, I was sitting on Dean's porch again, watching the sky turn blood red. You think once you walk away from a mess, that's it. You think once you drive off into the night, they can't touch you anymore. That's what I thought too. But you can't leave a fire burning behind you and not expect the smoke to follow. Especially when the people you trusted most are the ones pouring gasoline on it. I was living like a ghost at Dean's place. Waking up late. Drinking cheap coffee. Making plans on how to disappear clean. Every minute, Laura's calls came in. Blocked numbers. New fake numbers. Emails. Texts. DMs from friends we hadn't seen in years. Begging. Crying. Accusing. Where are you, Danny? Please don't do this. You're being childish. Come home. We can work it out. Work it out? She worked him into our sheets. She worked him into the life I built. I stayed silent. Cold. Focused. That's when the whispers started. It was a Thursday. I was sitting on Dean's porch, chain smoking, waiting for a call from my lawyer, when his neighbor Marlene wandered over. Marlene's about 70, sharp as a tack, owns 3 chihuahuas that bark at dust. She plopped down on the porch rail, watching me with those beady little eyes. "You holding up, Danny boy?" she asked. "Doing all right," I lied. She sipped her tea, rattling the ice cubes around like wind chimes. Then, "Casual as you please," she said. "You know they're still over there, right? Laura and that man. Still using your house like it's theirs." The world tilted under me. I gripped the armrest so tight my knuckles cracked. "You sure?" I asked, my voice low. "Saw him myself," she said, not unkindly. "Few nights back. Real late." Her giggling like a teenager. Him carrying a 6-pack and a pizza box like he owned the place. She shook her head. "Man spends years building a house. Woman lets some other man track dirt through it." She spat into the bushes. "Ain't right." I stared at the horizon, fists clenched. Marlene didn't know the half of it. The pizza? That would have been from Angelo's, our place. The 6-pack? Shiner Bock, my beer. They weren't just sleeping in my house. They were living in it. Eating the food I stocked. Sleeping in the bed I paid for. Watching TV on the couch I built by hand the first year we got married. I didn't move for a long time after she left. Dean came out around dusk. "Heard Marlene's little chat," he said carefully. I didn't answer. "You all right, brother?" I shook my head once sharp. "No," I said, "but I'm getting there." The next day, the rumors got worse. I went into town to switch out my phone at the prepaid kiosk. The cashier, kid couldn't have been more than 20, gave me a strange look. "Hey," he said awkwardly. "Ain't you Laura's husband?" I froze. "Ex-husband," I corrected coldly. Right, he said, fidgeting. Sorry to hear about, you know." I stared at him. He broke. "People are talking, man. Said they saw her and some dude in your backyard 2 nights ago." "Doing what?" I asked flatly. He gulped. "Looked like they were, you know. Not really worried who saw him." I paid for the phone. Didn't say a word. Got back in the truck. Gripped the steering wheel until my palms ached. They didn't even have the decency to pretend. Didn't even bother to close the curtains. They didn't think they had to. They thought I was gone. Dead weight. Forgotten. A joke. That night, I sat out on Dean's porch with a bottle of cheap bourbon, staring into the dark. I made a decision. Not anger. Not rage. Not revenge with fists or fire. No. Something better. Something colder. If Laura wanted to erase me so badly, I'd make it easy for her. I would take every piece of my life she ever touched, every scrap, every memory, every connection, and burn it to the ground myself. Quietly, cleanly, while she slept in my bed with another man. It started with the bank. The next morning, I closed the joint account. Every penny she hadn't already spent, gone. Moved into a private savings account in my name only. The house. I stopped paying the mortgage. Her name wasn't on the title. She had 30 days before the bank started foreclosure. The cars? The Silverado was in my name. The Altima she drove? Leased, under my credit. Cancelled. Due for repossession within a week. Utilities? Gone. Insurance? Gone. Phone plans? Cancelled. I left her stranded inside a house with no lights, no water, no heat, no car, and no legal right to stay. It was hers now, all of it. Hers to rot in. The beauty of it was, she had no clue. She was too busy playing house with Lucas. Too busy laughing over my kitchen counter. Too busy moaning in my bed. Too stupid to notice the foundation crumbling under her designer heels. Dean helped me move the last few things I cared about. A few boxes of tools, my old fishing rods, my dad's army jacket. Everything else. Left it. The pictures. The wedding album. The couch. The TV. The mattress. Let them soak in all the filth they made. "You sure about this?" Dean asked, tossing the last box in the truck. "Dead sure," I said. We drove out to a storage unit I rented under a different name. Unloaded in silence. When we finished, Dean leaned against the truck and looked at me real hard. "You ain't the same man you were a week ago," he said. "Good," I said. He nodded. "Real good." The next day, I finalized the paperwork for the divorce. Filed under abandonment of marriage, fastest route to sever ties. Paid the lawyer cash. Signed the papers. Walked out into the sun a free man. Meanwhile, back at my old house, Laura's little world was starting to crumble. I heard through the grapevine that the power got shut off first. Neighbors said they saw her out on the porch at night, screaming into her dead phone. Lucas? He didn't stick around. One look at the repo man hooking up the Altima, and he peeled off like the coward he was. Left her standing there barefoot in the driveway. Crying. Alone. In the house, she tried to steal from me. I didn't gloat, didn't celebrate, didn't even smile. Just kept moving. One step, one breath, one day at a time. Because sometimes the best revenge isn't noise. It's silence. It's walking away while they're still screaming your name into the void. Some men forgive. Some men forget. Me? I make sure nothing's left standing. 2 weeks after I pulled my life out of that house, I still couldn't sleep. I'd sit out on Dean's busted porch with a cigarette, staring at the stars. Pretending the fire wasn't burning in my gut. Pretending the ghosts of that house weren't howling in my ears. I could feel it. The walls, the sheets, the floors, soaked through with betrayal. It wasn't a house anymore. It was a tomb, and my bones were still inside it. Dean knew something was building in me. He didn't push, just kept handing me bourbon and letting me figure it out. Until one night, I finally said it out loud. I can't leave it like that. Dean didn't ask what. He didn't have to. He just nodded once and said, "You sure?" "I'm sure." "Then we'll do it right." Wasn't some drunken rage. Wasn't some Hollywood explosion. It was quiet. Smart. Old gasoline cans from the shed. Rubber gloves. Timing it right. No one inside. No neighbors in sight. No cameras. No witnesses. Nothing but me, the dark, and the rotting skeleton of a home that didn't belong to me anymore. The night I did it, the sky was clean. Sharp stars stabbing down from above. I parked 3 blocks away. Walked the rest. No lights on in the house. She wasn't there. Probably screwing Lucas on some ratty motel mattress somewhere. Good. Better. The front door still had my key. I slipped inside. The smell hit me first. Not our old scent. The lemon cleaner and fresh laundry. No. Now it smelled like cheap cologne, stale beer, and something rotten. Like betrayal left out too long. I walked through the rooms one last time. The living room where she used to sit on my lap, laughing at stupid sitcoms. The kitchen where I kissed her neck while she cooked. The hallway lined with pictures we picked out together. The bedroom where she moaned another man's name while wearing the necklace I gave her. I didn't cry. I didn't rage. I just moved. Room to room. Pouring the gasoline slow and steady. Like painting. A goodbye letter written in fumes. When it was done, I stood in the center of the living room. Pulled a Zippo from my pocket. The same one my brother gave me before he died. Flicked it open. Flame hissed to life. I stared at it. Small. Hungry. Just like me. I tossed it onto the soaked carpet. The fire caught with a low roar. Not a scream. Not a fury. Just a slow, steady devouring. I walked out. Closed the door behind me. Kept walking. Didn't look back once. By the time the fire trucks screamed into the street, I was already halfway across town. Watching the black smoke rise into the night sky like a middle finger to everything she destroyed. It felt good. Not happy good. Not proud good. Just clean. Like scraping something filthy off your skin. I didn't hear much about Laura after that. Didn't want to. But in a town like ours, you hear things whether you want to or not. "She's working now," Dean said one morning, tossing me a cup of gas station coffee. "Where?" I asked, not really caring. He gave me a look. "Velvet Rabbit." I choked on my coffee. "You're kidding." "Wish I was," he said. The Velvet Rabbit. Seediest nightclub in Tulsa County. Where broken dreams went to die under pink neon lights and the stink of cheap perfume. The place guys joked about but never actually admitted to visiting. Laura, the woman who once curled her nose at a waitress who wore the wrong brand of heels, was now serving drinks in a backless leotard and glitter-stained heels. "Lucas?" I asked. Dean shrugged. Word is he dumped her when the house burned. Didn't want the smoke, literally and figuratively. I laughed then. First real laugh I'd had in months. But I wasn't satisfied. Not yet. Curiosity's a sick thing. It gnaws at you. So one night, late, when the need outweighed the common sense, I drove past the Velvet Rabbit. Didn't go inside. Just parked across the street. Watching. Waiting. Sure enough, around midnight, there she was. Laura. Or what was left of her. Her once pristine hair was fried from bad bleach jobs. Her once smooth skin caked under thick makeup, trying to hide the cracks. Her once proud walk now a desperate, wobbly shuffle in 6-inch plastic heels. And Lucas? He wasn't on her arm anymore. He was sitting at the bar, laughing it up with his buddies, throwing dollar bills at her like she was a joke. She walked over to him, smiling tight, leaning in fake sultry. He slipped a bill into her top, whispering something that made her flinch. Then he turned back to his drink. She stood there a second, frozen, face slipping. Then she picked up her tray and moved on. I watched it all. Silent. Still. No anger. No sadness. No pity. Just clarity. She burned her own life down. I just lit the match for her. When I pulled away from the curb that night, I felt something heavy lift off my chest. Not joy, not peace, but something close, something better. I wasn't running anymore. I wasn't hiding. I wasn't hers. I was free. For the first time in 5 damn years. You ever wake up one morning and realize you're still carrying dead weight? That no matter how far you run, some things stay strapped to your back until you tear them off with your bare hands? That was me. After everything, the house fire, the bank accounts closed, the memories buried, Laura still clung to me like smoke in my lungs. I could feel her lies, her laughter, her betrayal, burning holes in me even while I was breathing free. It wasn't enough to walk away. It wasn't enough to burn the house. No. Some ghosts need to be exorcised face to face. It started simple. Dean and I were drinking beers on the porch, late, summer cicadas screaming into the dusk. He watched me stare off into the dark for the 3rd night in a row. "You ain't done yet, are you?" he said, not asking. I shook my head. No words needed. He nodded, slow, pulled out his phone, opened up the Velvet Rabbit's website, flipped it around to show me. "Time to end it right," he said. I spent the next morning in town. Found a little screen printing shop tucked between a pawn shop and a vape store. Walked in, boots heavy on the cracked tile floor. Kid behind the counter looked up, nose ring flashing. "Can I help you?" he asked. "Need a custom shirt," I said. "What you want on it?" I didn't even have to think. 2 words. Big. Bold. White letters on black cotton. "Dear wife." The kid raised an eyebrow but said nothing. Smart kid. Told me to come back in an hour. While I waited, I hit up a dive bar across the street. Drank a warm Miller Lite, picking at a basket of greasy fries. Ran the plan over and over in my head. Could have walked away. Could have let her rot in the mess she made. But some things a man's soul won't let slide. Not until the ledger's clean. When the shirt was ready, I paid cash. Didn't even try it on. I knew it would fit. Fate tends to tailor things perfect when it's ready to cash a check. That night, I called the Velvet Rabbit. Didn't say my name. Didn't need to. Money talks louder than names. Booked a private dance. Special request. Laura. Real name. No stage name games. The bouncer's voice crackled over the phone. "You got the cash?" "More than enough," I said. "You get 10 minutes. "Plenty," I said. "You sure you want her?" "Positive." I didn't sleep that night. Didn't toss and turn either. Just lay there on Dean's lumpy old couch, staring at the ceiling fan spinning slow and sure. Waiting. Letting every moment of betrayal, every whispered lie, every fake smile, every gaslight settle into my bones. Letting it fuel me. The next evening, I parked across the street from the Velvet Rabbit. Cracked neon flickered overhead like a busted halo. The parking lot smelled like oil and desperation. I sat in my truck, engine ticking down, pulling the new shirt over my head. The cotton was soft. The words felt heavy across my chest. I looked at myself in the cracked rearview mirror. Dear wife. Simple. Deadly. Final. I walked into the club. Dark. Loud. Sticky floors. Air so thick with smoke it scratched your lungs. The usual crowd was there, lonely men with sad eyes, drunk girls laughing too loud, bartenders working double speed to forget they ever dreamed of better. Nobody looked twice at me. Just another broken man chasing the bottom of a bottle. Perfect. At the VIP desk, I handed over a wad of cash. The bouncer, bald, arms the size of tree trunks, counted it slow. Nodded. Radioed someone. "Room 3, he said, jerking his thumb toward a hallway bathed in purple light. "She'll be there in 5. Room 3 was smaller than I expected. Smelled like bleach, old sweat, and bad perfume. Black leather couch. Mirrored wall. Pole in the center. Soft bass thudding through the floorboards. Fake candles flickering like a cheap shrine to bad decisions. I sat down on the couch. Hands folded. Breathing steady. 5 minutes passed. 10. I waited. Patient. Calm. Like a hunter waiting for a deer too stupid to realize it's already dead. The door creaked open. And there she was. Time hadn't been kind. Or maybe life had finally caught up with the lies she wrapped herself in. Her hair was fried from bleach. Her makeup thick enough to fill cracks in the drywall. Her body, once so proud, so haughty, slumped under the weight of humiliation she tried to hide with cheap glitter. She wore silver high heels and a strappy outfit that left nothing to the imagination. She didn't recognize me at first. Not until she read the shirt. Her whole face crumpled. Eyes wide. Mouth dropping open. Color draining out of her like somebody pulled the plug. She froze in the doorway, ready to bolt. I leaned back on the couch. Crossed one ankle over the other. "Dance," I said. Calm. Flat. Not a request. A command. The club had rules. 10 minutes of dance per cash. No refunds. No skips. No outs. She had no choice. Her hands shook as she stepped onto the floor. Music throbbed. Low, slow, dirty. She grabbed the pole like it might save her. Started to move. It was pitiful. No grace. No seduction. Just mechanical, jerky movements. Like her soul had already packed up and left the building. She spun once, stumbled, caught herself on the mirror wall, flashed a hollow smile, forced herself to sway hips that used to move with real confidence. Her eyes locked on the floor. Never once looked at me. Good. I didn't want her eyes. I didn't want her anything. I just wanted her to feel it. Feel what it's like to be exposed. Owned. Forgotten. She dropped to her knees. Crawled forward. Hands sliding over the sticky floor. Closer and closer. The shirt staring her down. Dear wife. Her lips trembled. Tears welled. She blinked fast, desperate to keep them from falling. Still she danced. Still she obeyed. Still she paid her debt. The music wound down. The lights shifted. Time was up. She knelt there, broken at my feet. Waiting. Hoping. Praying for mercy. I stood up. Pulled a crumpled $1 bill from my pocket. Dropped it slow. Let it flutter down. Watched it land between her knees like a slap. She flinched. Didn't move. Didn't breathe. I leaned down. Spoke so low only she could hear. Keep the change, sweetheart. Straightened. Turned. Walked out. Didn't look back. Didn't hear her sob. Didn't hear the collapse. Only the door clicking shut behind me. The sound of a clean severance. A ghost finally exorcised. Outside, the air was cold. Sharp. Pure. I stripped the shirt off, tossed it into a dumpster. Pulled on an old denim jacket. Climbed into my truck. Started the engine. The world stretched out wide and open in front of me. No more chains. No more memories. No more her. Some debts you can't pay with apologies. Some ghosts you can't bury with words. Sometimes, you gotta let them dance their own way into the grave. And I wasn't about to mourn her. Not now. Not ever.